Hi, in this video, we'll explore the global parameters of HUD and UI Radial Elements, including global parameters, hide types, introduction types, evolution examples, and base element offsets. The radial element is compatible with all punctual elements, allowing you to access and personalize each element's parameters for further customization. For this tutorial, we'll use the Radial N-gon element as an example, but the same approach applies to all other radial elements. Let's get started by creating a HUD and UI Radial N-gon element. To do this, go to the Add menu or use the Shift+A shortcut on your keyboard, then select HUD and UI Elements, Radial Elements, and finally Radial N-gons. The radial element comes with various parameters that offer extensive customization. Number of elements. This parameter controls the overall count of elements in one ring. Number of rings. As the name suggests, this parameter defines the total number of rings. Radius. This determines the size of the first ring of elements. Ring spacing. If the number of rings is greater than 1, this parameter sets the spacing between the different rings. Angle. This refers to the global angle of the element. For example, an angle of 180 degrees creates a semicircle. Stretch checkbox. For unclosed angles, such as 180 degrees, this option allows you to extend the position of the elements to match the specified angle. The tangent orientation changes the orientation of each element to match its tangent to the overall circle. If some of the elements need to be hidden to achieve a specific result, this can be done by using the hide type parameter. Even numbers hides all elements with even indices. Odd numbers hides all elements with odd indices. First n hides the first n elements. Last n hides the last n elements. Multiples of n, similar to the odd numbers option, but allows you to choose which elements to hide based on a specified number. 1 plus multiple of n prevents the first element from being hidden, which is useful since all numbers are multiples of 1. Percentage randomly hides a certain portion of elements. The amount can be defined by adjusting the percent parameter, and the seed parameter allows you to shuffle the selection order. As discussed in previous videos, the introduction type allows you to create a transition based on some key parameters of the element. This creates an incoming transition based on these parameters. To enable the animation to be calculated, it is mandatory to activate the animation checkbox. Angle. This option uses the global angle as a base to create the transition. Scale. Similar to the radius option, but the elements will also disappear on the first frame. Hide n. This option only works if one of the associated hide types is selected. It results in a progressive transition from 0 to n or vice versa. Percentage. This option only works if the percentage hide type is active. The transition will go from 100% back to the selected value. Some introduction types will not affect the base element on their own, and need to be paired with other introduction types from the base element. The intro start frame and intro length parameters allow you to set the start frame relative to the project's beginning and define the duration of the transition. For example, I will pair the radius introduction type from the base element with the element global radius. It is not mandatory to pair similar parameters. For instance, you can pair the global angle parameter with the inner thickness from the base element. The evolution parameter has been covered in previous videos, so I will just provide some examples. For a detailed explanation, watch our video, Understanding HUD and UI Elements, Triangles in Blender, Part 1. Check it out in the cards or in the description. Basically, the evolution parameter allows you to create keyframe-less animations. For this first example, I will set up a continuous rotation on the Z-axis. By changing the rotation evolution to continue and setting a value of 5 on the Z-axis, we can achieve this effect. All animations are automatically combined, so as we can see, the introduction is incorporated alongside the evolution. For the second example, I will set up an exponential bounce movement on the X-axis and a bounce exponential scale on the XY plane. To do this, change the position evolution to repeat mirrored X. Set a value of 50 for the length, 20 for the intensity, and 0.01 on the X-axis. Additionally, change the scale evolution to repeat mirrored X and set similar settings, 50 for the length, 20 for the intensity, and 2 for the X and Y scales. Now let's talk about the offset and randomization parameters. The offset parameter allows you to add an offset to all elements' positions. By activating the offset position, you can use the X, Y, and Z values to apply a fixed offset to each base element. Note that the offset is relative to each element's own local orientation. If the tangent orientation checkbox is disabled, then the offset is relative to the global orientation of the element. If the desired effect is to apply random offsets for each base element, this can be achieved by setting the seed parameter to a value greater than 0. The same principles apply to rotation and scale offsets, randomizations. For example, let me set a randomized rotation on the Z-axis and a randomized uniform scale. The base element parameters have been covered in dedicated videos, Understanding HUD and UI Elements, Triangles in Blender, Part 1 and Understanding HUD and UI Elements, Squares, Rectangles, Polygons, and more in Blender, Part 2. You can access these videos in the description or through the cards. As before, I will be providing an example to illustrate potential uses. That's all for this video. We've explored the global parameters of the radial element, different HUD types to create various visualizations for the base element, introduction types for setting up transitions, and offsets, randomizations, to introduce variability among the elements. We also covered some practical examples to illustrate these concepts.